Good morning, my friends.
Good
This is the
morning.
Dogfish here with the Grim Slayer.
That's right.
We are bringing you guys the second match in playoffs here with some Prowess. Is it Prowess facing some Izzet Delver?
Yes, the Izzet Civil War. I think this will actually be the third one we upload because number 1 and number 8 played prior to today. But yeah, definitely in for a really good one. You have any thoughts on who you are leaning toward? Obviously, this is at least a pseudo mirror, if not a virtual mirror. But any thoughts on who you're favoring here, my friend?
I don't know if I have a favor here. I have a little bit of a grudge against the Juggernaut for knocking me out of the last tournament you held here.
Of course.
But he is defending his title, so maybe you have to kind of lean towards the champ, regardless of how the matchup might present. I don't know if there's a clear winner here or a clear favorite.
Yeah, that's totally fair. I very magnanimous of you, despite your grudge, to give the edge to Guy, or should I say, Guy Katna. I also give the edge to him, even though I think Bobby's list is really good. I love his list. Guy's just got all the burn spells. I think he's really favored in a mirror. I think the red base structure of his deck will serve him well. Now, Bobby's got a blue base, and he is from the very outset leaning into that by choosing to deploy Shivan Reef instead of Mountain, and by holding up Permission instead of Flame Slash, or indeed instead of like playing a Delver or something. I think it's the right play, and I think we are definitely trying to just take our lumps here in the opening phases and play for a longer game. And he waits on the spell Pierce. Looks like he's going to opt here on the end step.
We almost need Bobby here almost needs like a turn where he can young pyromancer out a little army to buy him time, but even the little army is still vulnerable to just getting pegged by bolts and darts and all these other sorts of things.
Very true. Seeing the filter lens show up and a couple flame slashes, which I'm sure a guy will be more or less happy with that. Blister Coil weird, bites the dust, but he's pushed some damage through. Bobby's had to operate off Shivan Reef a couple times early, and as he tends to have more gas in the tank showing up for Juggernaut, but Bobby with a good draw off the top. We pick up a lightning bolt. We've got a bunch of blue cards in hand. So Delver into
We're running
bolts.
out of steam over here, so this is the scenario I guess Bobby would want to have. He's kind of running Guy out of resources here early, where his blue shell may actually be able to stabilize him if he can get ahead on a threat or two.
Absolutely. And we're sitting on an of one mind, which has potential to pull him ahead.
So this opt has a pretty crazy choice for Guy over here. He's staring at a Bedlam Reveler as far as what to top, draw, or bottom here.
Interesting. So the opt will be the third spell that hits the bin. What's that last card in his hand right
There's
now?
actually a Lava Dart, so he can sequence around removal here and get this Delver off the board altogether, whether he counters here or not. But if he does counter, he at least puts tax on Bedlam Reveler mana.
Absolutely.
So he lets it
no
go.
spell pierce. Interesting. Yeah, I mean, obviously he doesn't know about the Rev. I think he would snap off the pierce if he did.
Yeah, and you might start running out of chances to make the spell pierce good here. Really good. Obviously, if a 1 mana target, he can pay in a pinch here.
Yep. Unfortunately, Bobby has drawn 2 basic lands off of the of one mind, which is a really spicy inclusion. I like it a lot. But Guy did top the Bedlam Reveler, and he also did not have to cash in the Lava Dart, nor cash in a land to flash it back. When I say cash in Lava Dart, I mean exile it from the graveyard. So Bedlam Reveler is definitely something that could bury the opponent. However, he can't quite cast it yet.
Yeah, I think that sequence of events is going to put Guy probably in an all right spot, knowing that Bobby's dudding a little bit over there. If he can get to this Reveler with it being allowed to hit the battlefield, I don't think a flooding hand is really going to come back from that.
No, especially because guys all the way up at 20. And I do understand that these matchups are about board presence and even card advantage, sometimes more than life total, but that definitely doesn't help Bobby's prospects here either.
Yeah, I think, I mean, he's got an uphill battle here, but stranger things have happened. He's not
sure.
necessarily dead in the water, although it is not looking good here.
Yes, I agree.
I would definitely say I liked Bobby's list. Was the most stylish and most fun and interesting of the Izzet decks. Juggernaut over here is kind of more streamlined as to being, he is a big gun prowess player as well in modern. So this is kind of sticking to the strengths and sticking to the core plan. And
Yes, I gotta jump in here. I was just about to say that the one thing Guy might be worried about is Mono Leak because he knows there are 4 of them. Bobby just drew one off the top, which is definitely what he needed. I think the game was over if Reveler resolved. Ooh, but Guy's drawn light up the stage. Bobby using his spell here there. Very intelligent play, hanging on to the Mono Leak to beat the big Bedlam Reveler that he knows is something that could seal his fate.
Yeah, discipline, I guess.
Off the top.
Ooh, discipline from Bobby is really paying dividends, even though we kind of brought that Spell Pierce line into question.
Yep, absolutely.
He just 200 IQ'd us and made us look bad on the camera.
And here is the Mono League. Hey, you better get used to it. Mirabito and I got like 7 of our 8 predictions wrong in the first time, so no difference here. And Mono League is a card that's arguably the most exciting thing. It's kind of a strange thing to say, but building around Mono League really exciting to me out of Bobby, and we're seeing just how good it can be here.
And here also, as much as we just praised that Spell Pierce play in line, here's where that Lava Dart still in his graveyard can come back here.
Absolutely, good call.
And punish this Delver. This is another good draw, but it leaves us vulnerable here because we can't get these creatures' toughness up at the moment.
Yep, exactly.
But it is how you start staging the comeback, I guess, here.
Yep, no question about it. And note that Guy didn't feel priced into Lava Darting immediately. I believe that would put him... No, he still could have actually cast another top deck Rev if he had cashed one in, but still, no need to do that. He realizes what you just said is true. There's no way for Bobby yet to get these things any bigger. But, if these ops don't lead directly to a kill spell, maybe we'll see the Lava Dart tag that Sprite Dragon before too much longer.
I guess you get the option of looking, say, is Delver going to flip this turn? Or is he still going to have toughness 1 through one more turn? Or do I have to ping Delver now versus... you're going to see the card he cast to see if it's going to affect Sprite Dragon's toughness too. So, okay, he just pegged it there. I thought we were going to see a little bit of sequencing based on this effect right here on the stack.
Well, there's no window to respond, right? So once the card is revealed, Delver flips with no window to respond. I mean, you could respond with Delver's ability on the stack, but you wouldn't have any further information, if I'm not mistaken.
No, that actually sounds right from what we just saw.
Right.
So I guess maybe, yeah, that is just correct how he played it out, tagging
I think so.
because a flip Delver can still be handled by a bolt or even a firebolt snapback, whereas obviously Sprite Dragon gets out of control.
Good point about Firebolt. That is in the graveyard. We're a couple lands away from that. Bobby's got another Mono Leak in hand. The card is really strong under these circumstances, but he remains disciplined, as he's shown us he's very willing to do. And let's Swifty resolve, saving the Mono Leak for the light up the stage. Definitely, I think, rewarding him overall. Although, not draws off the top from Juggernaut could punish that in theory, but Delver is going to close this game out pretty quickly. We've got an Izzet Charm off the top from Bobby as well.
Yeah, we're still at enough, or at a low enough mana over here to make pretty much all modes of Izzet Charm pretty relevant. Whether you
Yeah.
just say I need to get rid of the Swift Spear now.
Yeah, he was checking the guy's graveyard for lava darts, and that led me to believe maybe he'd main phase it, but we're gonna hold off. Gotta obligatory comment on the basics here. We've got alpha basics from Bobby's side and Mirage basics from guys. Gigantic fan of both. We've got a firebolt off the top from the Swifty side of the table, but here comes that Izzet charm. So Bobby's top decks, you have to say, have been pretty nice, and he's also piloted expertly.
Yeah, he has piloted very tightly. You're seeing the aggressive side really put him under a barrage of pressure here that is going to be pretty tough to maybe withstand here, because I'm not sure how many cards Bobby has off the top here to really close out the game in return, where Guy is Juggernaut here is going to have a lot more of those threats.
Yep, you're right. And also, should both players flood, we've got 3 firebolts now in the opposing graveyard. But Spikefield Hazard
Ooh,
gonna
another...
answer a Sprite Dragon. So what a fascinating game one this is.
Yeah, this is... Ooh, whoa. Okay, here's one of those, I guess, low number of threats that he really wants to get to flip here.
Yes, he's gonna cross his fingers for a brick off the top one time, but doesn't get it. Lava dart, excuse me.
And that lava dart's also going to go a long way here at any next threat.
Absolutely, including the one that Bobby just drew. Bobby draws a young pyromancer, but he is choosing to sandbag it exactly for the reason you just described.
And this right here was another great draw as far as threats that close out the game here.
Yep, toughness is high on that card too, but Bobby immediately rips Lightning Bolt. These decks are both looking so powerful.
Lightning Bolt, young pyromancer, hold priority. Bolt.
Well, what's going to happen is when the lava dart gets fired off, Lightning Bolt can respond, and Guy is choosing to play around that. We're seeing some, I have to say, really high level prowess player. Just Izzet play from both players here. This is a delight.
Yeah, this isn't just ripping off like people think that you're just smashing bolts off. This sequencing is very slick by both players, and it would need to be here. Otherwise, this game shape would drastically change on a single decision probably here.
Absolutely.
And this is a pretty cool spot because we have Wild Slash in hand here. And we're going to wait and see how we let it all go down here.
Wild Slash, interesting.
So this actually is really good for Juggernaut. I believe it lets him win out this sequence of events.
Yep. Any instant speed spell, I guess, especially a burn spell, was really what he wanted to see there, and he found it.
Yeah, because here we go. The damage is still getting through here. So not only is he winning the stack war, he's still pushing, I think, just 2 damage, but that's really getting 3
plus
damage.
The lava dart going upstairs.
Yeah.
So he's
just about.
And Bobby's got a consolation prize of a elemental token, but that should not be sufficient to stop the flying prowess threat.
Yeah, we are 1 spell away. Hey, he could rip another bolt here, and
yeah, that's what he needed. He found a young pyromancer, so you identified the relatively low threat count. He has not fallen victim to that, although that was a big risk. Nevertheless, the other aspect of the different decks here, Guy's ruthlessness to close out the game, and just rips Wild Slash right off the top. Wow. Well, that was a fascinating game. My hat is off to both players, and it did kind of go how we thought it would. I think Guy's build is just a little bit better for a mirror. So
yeah, definitely built a little bit better for the mirror, and just sticking to plan A of running people over. I think where you're seeing Bobby's list come maybe better is if he happened to match against Kami in that last round, playing against the combo matches.
Absolutely.
where Guy would be racing those decks and Juggernaut would be racing those decks in this format, and that would just, it's a lot harder to do without the high-powered cards of non-5-ticket restrictions.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm looking at Bobby's sideboarding right now, and we are seeing him pivot toward even more of a controlling game. We are seeing cards like Mystical Dispute, Negate, and an Echoing Truth and Apostle's Blessing are all at least in heavy consideration. And he looks like he's siding out some of the slower, clunkier things, Saloon Division, Sleight of Hand. So far, he is not reaching for Dragon's Claw, which is a decision I know that his opponent would approve of. Guy is a big Dragon's Claw hater in these types of mirror match situations.
And you'll notice Guy Juggernaut here has no Dragon's Claws in his board to be coming in and out. They're nowhere to be seen. I believe we are just siding out some ops on this end, choosing to play a few more spells in return. Making sure we can, I think a Braids and Flame Slash has come in here. Making sure we can kind of hit those few threats that come out on the other side here.
Makes sense. And I've got to tell you, as somebody who's gotten a fair share of Prowess games under my belt, but nowhere near as much as Guy, it feels so good to be able to go into post-side games when you're against a small creature deck and you can bring in even more removal spells. It's kind of like being in a Jund or a Rock roll against a small creature deck, except you also go really fast too. So you just have such little fail rate. And that's exactly why we identified Guy as the favorite here. But Bobby's list post side still looking really, really strong. He ends up trimming an opt and leaving Negate on the bench, but otherwise his sideboarding is basically what I ran down a minute ago. So
I think Bobby has the chances here to. We have a pretty strong hand on the side that we're looking at, by the way. Storm Chaser Mage, Sprite Dragon, 2 light up the stages of Firebolt, and a couple lands. So we are looking at a very strong hand here from Guy.
Yeah. Bobby's hand, Bobby's hand is definitely good at the control game. It's definitely reactive. It's a little light on gas, but he's ripped of one mind off the top for his first draw step, which solves the light on gas problem. But we're looking at a 4-lander that he kept with Flame Slash, Mystical Dispute, which is why he ran out that island on turn 1, and Monolith, which he is now holding up. So he's very happy to have faded a turn 1 red threat from Juggernaut, that is for sure. And now Storm Chaser Mage gets beat by the Mystical Dispute. He's holding up Monolith because it is a more universal counterspell here. And ripping another land off the top. We've also got some Odyssey Mountains mixed in, some sunset or sunrise synergy here. You have to say it's a beautiful thing.
Those are really cool. I think I was going to mention this as we were talking. Bobby's deck has a little bit more of a potential to, I wouldn't necessarily say blow out a bad hand, but get pretty far ahead on a piece of interaction and then get a Prowess deck stuck on the wrong half their deck sort of problem.
Yes.
And that Sprite Dragon resolved, which, okay, there's the answer for it. If you can keep the board clear against Prowess, obviously, you know that's the strategy. Most people try and keep the creatures off the board.
Of course, yeah, definitely. And yeah, as you say, it resolved. Bobby choosing not to monoleak that threat, instead allowing it to hit and then untapping, flame slashing it. And we've now got a Vapor Snag in hand as well. I wonder, will we see a Monolith on the light up the stage? We will not. Interesting. So far, so good as far as Bobby's discipline on the permission has been. That one, I would not have been surprised to see him snap it off, though.
Yeah, maybe he's hoping for removal.
And he gets it. There's a bolt straight off the top.
I was going to say, also, he has some of the toughness 1 damage spells. Maybe he was just hoping for a good opportunity
for sure
to maybe use a worse spell. But I do like his Bobby's play with monoleaks and counter spells and permission.
Yeah,
has been high level here. Those are some aspiring spike moves right there by Bobby of being able to tell what cards you need to let go and what cards you really need to snap off for.
Yes.
Swift Spear is another one that's interesting to let hit the battlefield, in my opinion.
Well, in this case, Monolith could not have beaten it, and he just pays for it. That's the thing.
Right.
What I'm looking at is letting the light ups go. You do kind of understand it, but maybe I just don't have the discipline to play these decks as well. But I think I would have countered to light up the stage. But maybe that is just me.
Yeah, especially possibly this last one. If you were staying disciplined and needed a target, that you're running out of time here. Juggernaut's up to 5 mana. This mana leak's gonna start getting worse. I know I said this last time before he played Mana Leak.
Well, it's still true though, but the way these decks grow, you can hopefully find a spot for it. Now he's going to go for the Mana Leak.
Yeah. Okay. So I mean, he's using his cards. Where I guess maybe if you Mana Leak the Swift Spear the first time, you don't need to use the Vapor Snag, or he couldn't. So then maybe you hit the light up. Or he used it the best way.
I've been thinking was maybe tagging a light up. One of the 2 light ups I probably would have, but again, maybe I don't have the discipline. But we've got Lightning Bolt and Opt in hand now, so Bobby's of one mind, digging him to some decent stuff.
We're looking at a Wild Slash and a Burst Lightning over here, so I mean, not bad cards, but nothing that's going to take this game back over.
Right. Yeah, Bobby's sculpting his mid-game here. Sleight of Hand is going to yield Delver of Secrets and Echoing Truth. He's going to opt for the Delver, play it out. We've also now got a Deprive, which can beat 1 removal spell, but as you said, guy seems to have 2.
I mean, I think you'll also be kind of all right with having to go into top deck mode for more cards here if he's going to use everything to kill your Delver.
So this is fascinating. We see a Burst Lightning kicked and then untapped. Remember, the Firebolts are in the graveyard too.
Yeah, we've got a lot of punishing damage here to come.
Yep. Bobby letting the Wild Slash resolve.
I mean, I guess knowing that he has Firebolts in the yard, I mean, what are you...
I agree. You could say maybe you have to slog your way through all those, but I think it's the right call. And rewarded maybe because we now draw a Mana Leak as well. So
yeah, we're ranging out of Mana Leak territory altogether, but it still can help in a big stack war here.
And against those flashback Firebolts too.
Yeah, another Burst Lightning here, Wild Slash. We're still looking like we're just gonna bad burn them out here eventually.
It's pretty stacked. We've got Deprive, Mana Leak, 2 bolts now, and a Flame Slash.
Or I guess we are gonna go for the bad burn plan, not necessarily achieve the bad burn plan.
Right.
It is bad burn after all. And we are definitely at a good old stall. More Wild Slashes here. Staring at a pair of Wild Slashes.
I think Bobby is going to be very wary of Bedlam Reveler, and therefore will try to be as disciplined as possible with that Deprive. Bobby's got a bad burn plan of his own shaping up with a Spike Field Hazard in hand, and we've now drawn Apostle's Blessing, which is looking pretty bad at the moment. But if he does manage to find a threat, especially Young Pyromancer, it could be really interesting with Blessing to protect it, Deprive to protect it, and a whole lot of burn to fire off, making a lot of tokens. That could be kind of Bobby's Bedlam Reveler, if you will.
Opponents chatting a bit here in the chat about I don't think a creature is going to be sticking on the battlefield anytime soon.
Yeah, that's what Guy says. And Bobby playing it cool, I'd be surprised. But really, he does have the ability, specifically with Young Pyro. That's what I'm looking for him to draw.
Young Pyro would make Juggernaut have to invest heavily in answering that board, which, I mean, he has Lava Dart and a Braid to go with his Wild Slashes. He's going to decimate any board state that he might have to throw resources at it, but they're plentiful at this point on Juggernaut's half the board.
Yeah, that's fair. Bobby's about to be in the territory where he might have to fire something off so he doesn't discard to hand size. And indeed, that's the play because he draws a Flame Slash for turn. I always conflate those in my mind, and Bolt will go upstairs. But we're now sitting on another Mono League and another Flame Slash. So stacked hand.
So we got a reasonably good threat here that can really fight off all these damage spells, especially because we have a hand, a couple Lava Darts, Firebolt, Wild Slash. This might be a guy that sticks on the battlefield, or we might see a stack war coming
I think
over.
we're going to see a stack
pretty
war.
soon.
Bobby has 2 sorcery speed removal spells, so he is incentivized to initiate the stack war, and where it's about to go down, buckle up. All right, Wild Slash in response. Bobby's got to be wary of just like not getting burned out here too. He's down to 10, 2 Shivan Reefs on the field.
And I think Juggernaut is going to go for that line here of I'm going to burn you, but make you need to kill this.
Yes, exactly. So Bobby has to tread very carefully here. There might be some incentive to like try to win the stack war, even if you don't kill the weird, and then after the fact, just finish it with another Flame Slash, even though that's card disadvantage. Really depends on what guy does, though.
Yeah, and we can see he's just going for the upstairs damage. He has fire bolts on the back burner here to close this out, as well as a few more lava darts, while keeping him well above the 5 mana threshold for those fire bolts.
Absolutely. And yep, we've got issues over here, that's for sure. And you know, again, it is all about board control, but life total matters a lot too. I do wonder how much work a Dragonclaw would have done here. But guy sequencing very well, getting as much work done as possible while not leaving himself vulnerable to Mono League. And Bobby forced to spend a deprive here.
So I think you are seeing a good example of why I believe not only these Izzet decks, but I've thought this Prowess deck has been strong in testing. I haven't tested as much against the Delver sort of builds, but I think both these decks are really the measuring stick of this 5-ticket format. So I definitely want viewers to really know this is kind of definitely the Titan match here, the tier 1 matchup throwing down here.
Yeah, that is clear. And it's funny because, you know, it wasn't necessarily on everybody's radar during initial brewing. People went through various stages of panicking about elves and Tron and like a mono red burn deck and so on and so forth. I had high hopes for Thorn of Amethyst, but at the end of the day, this is a really strong archetype. And look at Guy just taking it to the house here. Bobby does have Mono League, but 2 Shivan Reefs not doing him any favors, you know. Give myself a little tiny bit of credit here. I believe identify that in the pregame show as a potential mirror breaker, having 2 tap Shivan Reef for mana too many times. And not that he was favored there anyway, but the nail in the coffin. But my goodness, incredibly well played to both of these competitors. Great stuff. And yeah, well commentated Dogfish. Any parting thoughts here from yourself?
I think Bobby did really well to keep himself in positions in that match with super disciplined lines of play, even kind of outwitting us a few times there on the camera as far as playing really tight lines. And Guy Juggernaut continues to show that he is a major threat in these big tournaments on these Prowess builds. At he's the expert pilot on the aggro plan here, so he'll be definitely the measuring stick and the one people want to take down in these next couple rounds here, defending the title.
Absolutely, and very interesting because one other thing I'll say before we wrap up. Guy's build is the most red-based of the 3 Izzet decks, and if it does end up, you know, coming down to Living End versus an Izzet deck, I think Kami would have been most afraid to face Bobby's list, and Bobby has now, of course, been eliminated. So interesting how these things have ripple effects. But yeah, GG's to both of our Izzet pilots here, and we will see you for the next video.
All right, Juggernaut, congratulations. That was an incredible match. How are you feeling after that Izzet mirror?
I'm feeling pretty good, man. Those kinds of back and forth trading off of resources, games of Magic are really what I live for. I think going against Bobby specifically with how his build lines up against what I'm doing in my deck, I think that the points he gained against the fair strategies with the counter magic and the card advantage, I think that he loses out against me specifically. Because in these kind of prowess mirrors, I think the only two things that matter are threats and answers to threats. So I think the kind of slightly dirtily card draw and stuff, I think my deck just lines up really well against it.
That totally is how it played out too in the matches. One of my favorite moments was when you had a back and forth battle over the blister coil weird, but the whole process you were just sending burn spells upstairs just to burn out Bobby. That was kind of an incredible moment.
Yeah, that was kind of how I was hoping that turn would play out. I was hoping that he wouldn't have counter magic for my blister coil weird. And then I was hoping that he would go all in on burn spells so I could tax his mana and kind of burn him out over the next turn or two.
Yeah, really, really well played. How are you feeling going into these semifinals? Do you think you're going to be able to make back-to-back finals appearances?
Well, I'm going against either Dan or Connor here, and both decks have just a ton of life gain and a ton of removal, so I'm feeling a lot less confident about that. I think Bobby would have a much better chance against those decks with his build.
Yeah, no, that really makes sense, and that was something that Grim and I commented on the pre-show, going over the top 8 deck lists, and really, really cool to see you leverage the power of your deck again in the mirror. Well, best of luck to you, Juggernaut, and really looking forward to our next match.
I appreciate it.